What's going on everybody, welcome to today's video of Free-to-Play Clorinde Showcase. But first of all, I have to apologize for my microphone as I'm not entirely sure where these background noises comes from. I've done my best to edit, but some part of it is still not ideal to listen. So once again, please pardon my voice. Now let's not waste any more time and let the show begin. Just like usual, let's start with my build first. Level 90 Clorinde with R5 Finale of the Deed. As for the artifact, I have no choice but to go for the Gladiator set on her, as my luck with the new artifact is extremely bad. It's truly a shame. Well anyway, talent wise I went for 110-9. Do not upgrade her normal attack as all her skillings are written on her elemental skill. Besides, make sure her burst is at least level 7, so you can start off the offense with the piercing attack. Now this is more important than you think, as it allows you to obtain the maximum 20% crit rate from her passive tool right from the beginning with the help of the sword Finale of the Deep. So please remember to upgrade her burst to at least level 7. Now that you have known my build, let us see her solo damage. From this comparison, we can see that although her passive one gives her a whopping 60% attack, the actual damage increase is not that high with only just 20%. But something is at least better than nothing, so it's better for you to trigger 3 electro reactions as soon as possible. Usually this won't be a problem at all, because the same repeated reaction also counts for Clorinde, so it's basically a permanent buff with extra steps. Now that we have known her solo capabilities, it's time for some team showcase. The first one is gonna be one of the most anticipated free-to-play team, the Shiftless Overlord team. After playing it for some time, I can confirm that it's indeed a very strong team, especially when the entire team is made of 4-star characters. However, do know that this is not an easy team to play, as you'll die pretty easily without CC Shiftless. On the other hand, this team is surprisingly good against clouds. Clorinde's piercing attack actually chases enemies so well that Overlord doesn't really matter against her. Sometimes it's even too fast that Pylonado actually has a chance of not hitting enemies. Overall, I am quite satisfied with Clorinde's performance with only 4-star teammates, provided you actually have Shiftless. If you don't, it's best for you to stay away from this team. Now, Clorinde's attack actually has a fairly large AoE, making her an excellent trigger for Hyperbloom. But unfortunately there are other flaws to her kit that Quickbloom doesn't really suit her well. For one, due to her long infusion downtime, many of the seeds will be wasted during that time, making her ineffective for Hyperbloom. Besides, she doesn't scale on Elemental Mastery, so all her seed damage will be much weaker than the others in addition to weaker Aggravate damage. That's the reason why she's not really meant for Hyperbloom. Now if you're wondering why this team can be triple KK fast despite all the problems I've mentioned, just check this out.
Loaded. And I am defeated.
You see, the normal bloom is actually the one doing the most work, then Sudon for climbing out together. By the way, you could try replacing Baiju with Cookie to mitigate all the problems I mentioned to a certain degree. While it certainly works, it's just they don't synergize really well as Clorinde will steal all the seeds from Cookie during her skill. Now this is basically Sino situation all over again, where it's better to replace Clorinde for someone else, especially her partner Alhaitham. But nevertheless, it's a good team for her.
Into the shadows.
Fortunately, thanks to Clorinde's strong solo damage, you have the option to trade out Nahida for Fish Shield, focusing on more dealing direct damage to the enemies with Hyperbloom and Aggravate as bonus damage. But of course, with Baiju's Stendo application, most of the time we'll be doing Electro Charge instead of Quickbloom, especially against multiple enemies. Not that this matters much anyway, since she doesn't scale on Elemental Mastery. Now aside from applying Dendro, Baiju's true purpose is the team-wide healing, which allows Furina to quickly max out her buffs. And that's how this team becomes one of the best teams for single target bosses. Yes, only for single target, as all your skills are for single target and there's no grouping in the team. So if you're out against multiple enemies, Kazuha is always the best friend for you. All you have to do is to just trade out Furina for Kazuha, and this will become a full-fledged Aggravate team that's incredibly strong in almost every situation. It's already proven by Clorinde's ancestor, Keqing and Yemiko. Now compared to her senior, the only difference is that Clorinde can heal herself, making this suicide quicken team with Nahida and Kazuha only possible with her. But still, I strongly suggest Potodai and Nahida just as a fail-safe. Either way, this is easily one of the best teams for Clorinde, provided you can actually survive. By the way, there's one small inconvenience for this team. Due to Nahida's strong Dendro application, sometimes we'll fail to switch Electro with Kazuha, which will seriously drop your damage. So be careful about when you're going to use Nahida's skill, as it lasts for 25 seconds and you'll have a very hard time to reverse it to Electro. It's probably a trend or something in Fontaine, but almost every Fontaine DPS works very well with mono element team, including our girl Clorinde. By trading out Nahida for Zhongli, you are sacrificing Aggravate damage for an impenetrable shield. A fair trade in my opinion, as Clorinde doesn't really benefit much from Aggravate. So at the same time, since you have decided to throw the durations into the trash can, Yemiko is actually the better choice than Fisher in this team. Overall, it's a very good team for those who just want to chill and relax. Another good team for you to relax is with Yunjin, which actually works much better than I expected. Aside for buffing Clorinde's Nova attack damage, Yunjin also increases her attack speed at C6, which is a very noticeable buff on ranged characters. Not to mention dual resonance with Zhongli, which is yet another nice buff. The only downside is that Yunjin's buff expires too quickly against Clouds, so against these tankies, there's almost no buff to Clorinde's damage. But somehow she's still able to take them down fairly quickly.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Gotta build up of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay? Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way. I can see the way.
At last, you can always go for Hypercarry if you prefer seeing big numbers on Clorinde. If you somehow have CC Sarah, this is probably the biggest number you can get with her, which is honestly not that big for some reason. Now, I don't really prefer this team at all, as you can see just how easy she dances outside of Bennett's circle. In addition, unlike Raiden's Hypercarry, it's borderline impossible to recharge Sarah unless you are facing Clouds like these Kankeys. Furthermore, Sarah's buff just doesn't last long enough to cover the whole duration of Clorinde. So yeah, I won't go for this team personally, as it's just too much of a hassle for me. Now before going into the conclusion, let me introduce some of the main teams. Despite using Sword, Clorinde is a ranged character who benefits greatly from attack speed buff. So this is what Clorinde looks like under 47 attack speed buff. She is so quickly that I can't even see where she's going for the most time. Of course, this is nowhere near viable at all, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. Just switch Chongyun to Zhongli, and you have an actual decent meme team that's almost strong enough for the Abyss. So definitely try it if you have these items. The last team I'm gonna show you is Arlecchino, which I never expected it to work until I tried it out. Since Clorinde has such a weird duration and cooldown, it's best to have someone to cover her downtime, especially those with one lot damage. Yeah, that's basically Arlecchino. Not only she has a very strong damage, but also her off-field marking damage actually managed to keep up Shuffler's buff during the entire duration of Clorinde's skill. That's why I'm really surprised it actually works. However, as this is certainly not the best team for either of them, that's why I'm putting it as mean team. Now we've finally come to the conclusion. Is she really worth a pull? Well, my answer is not that necessarily if you already have Newlet and Arlecchino. She's kinda an average DPS that is not broken strong, but not weak either. Considering that line is coming out very soon, it's best for you to sell out your Primogems. But if you do pull her, you won't be disappointed either, as she's at least stronger than all other DPS except for the two I mentioned. That's basically all I have to say for her. So what do you think about her? Please let me know in the comment section. Thanks for watching and I'll be seeing you soon.